Okay, are we ready to begin, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Somebody else can go to some.
Okay, let's get started, everyone.
Yeah, they need to go out.
Ready to start, gentlemen? Okay, thank you. That's okay. Good evening and welcome to the Duluth Community District regular meeting of the Board of Directors on this date, October 19th, 2022. This meeting is now called to order, and we will begin with our roll call. Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Carol. Here. Alessandri.
Here.
Rawson.
Here.
Roberts here. Thank you. Everybody will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on smartly, agenda item number B, authorizing on-site and virtual board and committee meetings, consideration and adoption of resolution number 22-20, authorizing on-site and virtual board and committee meetings pursuant to AB 361. Motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Need to vote roll call?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, all in favor, Bowman.
Aye.
Carol.
Aye.
D'Alessandro. Thank you, Robert. Rawson.
Hi.
Roberts, aye. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Sheriff's Report. Deputy Perez.
Well, good evening.
Good evening, Mr.
Well, the last period was, thank God, quiet for the most part. Which one that I saw was that, had two, we had two backhoe valves that were stolen, this last week. They're pretty pricey. They're about $12 a piece to install. So they were basically 2-inch type, all brass. In the past, it has happened in some areas. The best advice we give people is more or less, you put them out there in green. That way, if someone steals them, we will recycle them. The sucker will be aware of what they're for and the potential that they're stolen. Also, to cage them is liquor deterrence, like anything else. Deterrence is the best policy when it comes to that type of stuff. Just know that those items are serialized. So when you buy that item, it's always good to, what I do, take a picture of it. If you take a picture of where it's at, today's phones, even though there's no cell reception, the GPS still kicks in. So next time it happens, put your phone, it'll show the location and hopefully show number, description of the item. Because they're expensive. I mean, to me, $1,200 to replace a backhoe valve, that's expensive. I attended a QA meeting this weekend with Jim. And during the course of the answer question portion, a lady came up, reported that a few weeks ago, she was driving down Edinburgh, heading towards Sandia Creek. She saw a vehicle on the side of the road there. Didn't think much about it. Proceeded down Sandia Creek. As you're aware, Sandia Creek reception is not good for cellular reception. She proceeded down, heading south, and heading west, Sandia Creek. She got close to El Prado, first one, the car that's from the side of the road. She slowed down to look, the vehicles break down, she's calming, once again, no cell reception. When she slowed down, the car behind her, suddenly turned her lights on. And she felt that was possibly maybe a carjacking or they're trying to lock her in or something like that. I remember reading the call for service. There was no threats made, no people displayed. So we don't know really what happened in terms of if it was an attempted carjacking or it just that it was an odd situation. And that's one thing about our area is that we have poor cell reception. So when you're out there, be very cautious, especially for cars. Me personally, I don't stop. I slow down, I look, and I call somebody. We've had situations where people have been more or less assaulted when they pull over to help somebody. and if not worse. I know by some neighbors' homes here, you guys know when someone hits their gate intercom, you kind of roll the dice. My advice is always call dispatch. If it's an emergency, you need to call dispatch anyway, so you can call the tow truck for them or dispatch for law enforcement to show up and take care of their situation. I always apply common sense with that. I'm gonna look up more into that incident that occurred in Pembroke Sheriff. I'm gonna talk to deputies about that call for service. Okay. Any questions on the board? Okay. Thank you for your report.
Okay.
You didn't mention anything about marijuana.
Oh,
Like I said, I'm happy, nothing so far. No reports. We had Star 9 fly over, actually on Monday or Tuesday because of the report of a plane going down in our area. It was just going down low and heading towards San Diego. But I got up with them afterwards and like, there's no weed. Once again, I'm happy about that. But I did smell something the other day, which kind of surprised me. And I've been looking into that. So, but at this point, I have not seen any marijuana over by flyover or by sight.
Have there been any thefts, avocado or other thefts this year?
I deal with a lot with McMillan, and they're very happy.
Okay.
I'm talking to some of the other growers, they're making out good this year. So they're not really complaining about loss or anything.
Okay.
And I work with McMillan a lot in terms of like when they're suspected poaching, I guess, something like that. I try with them as much as I can, but they're happy right now in terms of no loss, no cost. I'm pretty sure I'm somewhere, but it hasn't been reported to me.
The only thievery is at the packing houses.
Okay.
Okay, don't worry about it.
No, I mean, it's actually like we have our own kind of like little packing shops that like just went off of El Calamar. I'm sure you were that one.
I'm just mentioning they don't pay you. for-
Oh. Okay.
That sounds like.
Well,
You guys are a little slow today.
yeah. I'm down there.
okay.
Anything else on the board? No.
Okay, thank you very much for the update. Okay, we're going to move into public comments. And before we begin, I want to recognize one of our Zoom attendees who happens to be on the screen right now, Susan Deerdorf. Just recently, she passed on to me. I was attending an event on Saturday, and she came up and introduced herself to me. And her husband was sitting across from the table. But she wanted to give us some feedback. She wanted to let us know that her and her husband participate through Zoom, listening to these meetings. And she wanted us to be aware that they think that the CSD is doing a very good job on behalf of the community. So Susan, I know you're muted right now, but I wanted to say thank you very much for the feedback. Really appreciate it. It was very nice to meet you, put a face to a name. And I hope we continue to see you on screen. If not, please come on site and visit with us. Again, thank you very much. So again, just wanted to share that feedback with everybody. Okay.
Nice to hear.
All righty, Jessica, I see we have no one else in terms of Zoom individuals. Anybody on site here to speak? No? Okay, very good. And we'll go ahead and move on smartly to agenda item number E, which is information only. And these items are intended for that purpose: financial statements, statements of investment policy. Any comments or questions, directors? None? Okay, very good, then we'll move on. Okay, and that will lead us into F, which is the consent calendar. And that includes our minutes of September 21st, 2022 regular board meeting, to the general fund claims for September 2022. Third is the sheriff's special tax claims for September 2022, and there were no purchase orders. Any questions, directors, comments? None? And do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Bowman?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Alessandri? Rawson?
Aye.
Roberts, aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Item G, Sandia Creek mitigation agreement, Mr. Stein.
Thank you. So this is may seem like the same thing we were doing last month, basically. Last month, we had the Buena Vista mitigation payment. This is for the actual past job, the Sandia Creek and the Via Vaquero project that we did, I don't know, a year and a half ago. We went through the process for Buena Vista, and that got us, going and reaching back out to what happened on Sandia Creek, going through the process, and we realized we still needed to pay this mitigation fee basically for the Sandia Creek project. So we got this agreement here. It's basically the same exact agreement with a different project and a different impact acreage in it, basically. So this one came out to a total of $43,000, which if you remember, there's two projects, and these projects have a little bit of a larger footprint. So you pay based on the amount of acreage that you're disturbing. So that puts us at 43,000. It was about half the last one. So it kind of goes in line. It's payments to the same person. So basically, that's what this payment is, pay that, finalize that environmental mitigation process for Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero.
Mr. Emmons, did you want to add?
Well, I think Brian covered it, so it'd be nice to just get these all cleared up.
I have a question. Is this, and I assume probably not reimbursable by FEMA?
No, it's a permit fee. Well,
And the engineering committee reviewed it in our meeting as well, recognized, obviously, that we go forward. if we have no-
It's not reimbursable.
That's,
I'll look into that.
We can look deeper. I think, sometimes these are reimbursable at a certain point. So it's definitely, we are having a meeting with them, so.
Yeah, the overruns.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So we'll check that out.
Okay,
Good.
okay, very
We
good.
have them all, we have an audience with them coming up soon, so.
Alrighty, then, let's see, a motion to approve the mitigation payment for Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero Road. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Yes, motion to approve.
Second, please. All in favor, Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
DeAlessandri? Rawson?
Aye.
Roberts, aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Oh, we're still with Mr. Stein. Buena Vista reconstruction project, please.
All right, and so Buena Vista, as you know, at the committee meeting, I kind of gave the good news. I've been on this one for a while, but we did finally receive our environmental permits. So that's been a long time coming, but finally I can at least scratch that portion of it off the list. Now it's on to the real fun of getting this project constructed. So within that time, we did reach out to the contractor, let him know, and he was able to jump on right away. We're in the process of getting all the contracts signed right now, dealing with the bonding and insurance that needs to be done before we can actually start the project. But that's all kind of been going back and forth now. We're gonna have our pre-construction meeting here in the next week. Basically, that kicked up the project, but it looks like he was able to secure one of the complications was he gonna be able to secure the dirt site that he originally had. We passed that obstacle. He was able to find a dirt site that was available right then, so we're all good to go. We're 100% moving forward, but we're talking to the contractor. It looks like we're gonna be able to start here in the beginning of November, basically the very beginning of November, November 1st, so we're looking to go ahead on that. So again, we'll have more information at that pre-construction meeting. That's the direction moving forward. I've already started receiving the construction submittals for some of these jobs so that they can get materials in order and everything. So it's moving along, but I've been waiting to say this for a while, but we're finally moving forward on it. So hopefully we can take that and something good out of the meeting rather than the usual news we get from one of us.
When you project it to be finished.
So it's 40 working days, so that would put us around the end of the year, basically. But I will say, I mean, the 40 working days are there, but if it rains, which it's gonna rain, one or two of the days, they basically take that day and add to the end of the contract. So it could run into the next year, but right now we're docketed to go right at the end of the year, basically.
Remind me again, how many residents are in that vicinity?
So directly affected, if you're talking about the route, I think there's only two or three, one. Yes. So,
It lives right beside.
Beside, right?
And then you've got two, but they're like way past the curve, I'd say a mile, maybe.
Okay.
And when we counted that road, I think 24 hours was 19
Okay.
trips. So there's not a lot of.
19 trips, so that could be one home going out, coming back, and going out later, they coming back, that'd be like 4 trips, so 19, that kind of thing, I guess, so not a lot of traffic.
Pretty minimal.
One of the things we'll cover at the pre-construction meeting is what the plan is for contacting residents. Like with Sandia Creek, we had a lot of residents along the creek and along the road, and they were all contacted by the contractor and our people. I mean, they went, knocked on the door, physically talked to them. So we'll get that lined up at the pre-construction meeting. I did get some good news tonight that Will Dan has assigned James Brown, Jason Brown, the guy who ran our project at Sandia Creek.
Okay.
And we had some little issues in the first 5 or 10 days, and then he came in.
Right.
Boy, is he good. He really knows his stuff. And he's not on site all the time, but he's the guy who runs the whole thing. And the issue, like back then, there was issue, when is this gonna get done? When is the detour gonna be open or finished and all that? And he holds the contractor to the schedule. And he did a great job. And we had a good contractor there too, but he's a real pro. So I'm happy I put in my request for him, 6 months ago, but it depends on how many projects. And then if we did get an okay, that these jobs are gonna be going at the same time. So why pay for 2 construction inspectors?
So we got
So
that.
they agree. They can run both these jobs.
That's great.
Inspection.
That's great.
And that inspector works for Brown.
Yeah, he works under, he's a construction manager and then the inspector underneath. So the inspector's the one on site dealing with the day-to-day, and then the construction manager deals with all the higher level. And if there's an issue, he's the one that's gonna step in and put everyone in their place. And he's been doing it for, I don't even know how long, but definitely over 20, 30 years. So he's definitely seen it all. So that's the kind of experience you need out there. So it's good to see.
So it's looking, both projects are looking good, the timing, and these things are all falling into place. So I think we're gonna get these done.
There may only be a few residents, but how many lots are there along that road?
They're large, they're mostly 20s and
Is that right?
it's all agriculture in there.
Yeah, well, that's the point, which is it may only affect a few residents, but it can affect people who own those lots in agriculture.
That's right.
I just mentioned this
Yeah,
because,
that's a good
I
point.
just mentioned this because it would seem like we're paying all this money for 4 people when it actually, there's more than
Oh,
that.
I see what you mean. No,
That's
no, I'm talking about, the question as I heard it was people actually being affected,
Right.
their day-to-day,
That's right.
No, there's lots and lots and a lot of
That's correct.
agriculture.
That's correct. So I think it's a different perspective when you look at that in terms of how important it is to do this job.
Well, great. Looking forward to it.
As well.
Thank you very much. And let's see, oh, you're still on the agenda.
I'm still here.
The 2022 annual pavement rehabilitation project, Mr. Simon.
All right, and we kind of segued to that at the end of the day, so we're kind of on the same, it worked out that we're on the same track. As we said, we're gonna share inspectors on that one, but with that, we're gonna have a pre-construction meeting kind of on the same day there to go ahead with the annual slurry job. On that one is, I mean, it's the same exact process right now we're going through is the bonding, the insurance, basically. And that's all going as planned. They're looking to get out there in the beginning first week of November there. So it's gonna be moving ahead. I wrote it on that one. They've submitted everything they need on that. We have the project set up, a DIR number. Now it's just getting everyone set up and moving ahead with the project. And again, kind of like what Jim was saying, they will be handing out door-to-door notices basically for any street that's going to be affected. And just to clear this up and just to inform everybody, the whole goal of this is we put in specifications that 1 lane of traffic is always going to be open in either direction unless otherwise authorized, but it takes a real exception to get that through. So basically, yeah, we don't allow it to just anything. It needs to be a real reason. So that's just to notify the residents that you're going to be notified beforehand. And there will always be an operational traffic lane while we slow the job, so it's, I want to kind of throw that out there. But no, that one's moving ahead now. We'll get this, project moving forward, and it's gonna be a busy time, but it's good to get them both at the same time and
Right.
get it all out of the way, so, I mean, exciting times for the district right now.
And on one hand, we want rain, but on the other hand, we kind of don't want any rain, right?
How long does it take for this to cure, the slurry?
Ooh, the slurry, so it's actually, it depends on how you say that, but they can put traffic over it within within a day, basically. So they can put traffic over it, the full curing time, now, they have to wait, and Steve, you can, answer. I think it's had to wait a week. It's either, yeah, it depends on the kind to stripe it, so it's not fully cured, but it's able to be open to traffic, basically, right away. And that's because of the kind we spec out, basically the type of slurry. We can do this type 2 slurry with a certain mixture of latex and it's called emulsified aggregate slurry. So it all depends. And one thing that affects curing obviously is temperature.
Sure.
So we have highs and maximum and minimum. So it has to be like, I think the minimum is around 45. It has to be 45 and rising for them to continue the slurry. And on the other side, it needs to be, I forget the high temperature, it needs to be that, and going down for them to continue slurring. So all that affects the curing, but that is part of our specification package to make sure that it's safe and it's not gonna take someone's wheels if they're going out there or something.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, agenda item J, traffic matters. Mr.
Good evening. We have our presentation. Next slide. So we started our traffic study that we talked to you about a few meetings back. And next slide, there's 5 streets that we've identified that internext with the district, and we've done the first 2. And our focus was to look at accident history, roadside shoulders conditions, develop options, and then submit a report. Next slide. So the first 2 we did were Rancho, Cal, and Sandia Creek. So we'll talk about tonight real quickly. This is pictures and just gives you a brief description of what they look like. Rancho Cal's got brand new striping RPMs, new surface, asphalt berms, guardrails. It's in good condition. This is of course maintained by the county. It also has, showing pictures here, guardrails, warning signs, groove center lines. So it's got most of the latest and greatest bells and whistles. We did have 2 fatalities that in the last 4 years that we were aware of. One on that curve area there, going up Hairpin Curve, and then one at the motorcycle accident there at the Avenida del Oro. As a result, the county lowered the speed limit at a request from 55 to 45 in that section. So that's a good thing going forward. They also installed an all-way stop sign at the request of the district at Avenida del Oro, and they even put a larger sign than normal, along with a red flashing beacon on it to make sure it's well seen. They did some work too on the next section over between Avenida del Oro and Duluth, where they took care of the issues out at the overlook and the access issues that we're having on private property there, and the cars going in and out and turning around, and that's all been restricted now and working really well. So
Wasn't there a fatality related to that, coming off of that? Wasn't there a fatality, an accident?
we didn't go deep into the records, so
Well, there was as a result of somebody going in there and then coming out and there were T-bones.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
That's the most recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll note that. So in summary, the roadway is entirely within the county's jurisdiction for maintenance. We don't have any additional recommendations at this time for any enhancements along this county maintained road. Now, Sandia Creek, as you all know, we talked about, last couple of meetings and stuff about the gate going in. That, of course, has reduced the traffic significantly on our street. And those are the numbers just to kind of remind you, it's gone down, virtually 90%. Next slide. We put up warning signs to tell people about the restriction that's ahead. Our side of the road is enforceable 40 mile an hour speed limit. We've got a brand new surface on it, new center lines, RPM edge lines. The shoulders are nice and level. It's in great condition. San Diego side, not so much. That's an example of a poor edge. That lane is less than standard edge because it's eroding away. The drop off on the shoulder there. There's no edge lines to delineate it at nighttime. There's no RPMs on the center line to follow at night. It's in poor pavement condition, so it's a little different roadway for our neighbors. They have a whole host of warning signs up to warn people of the risks. Don't use this road, use it at your own risk, la-di-da-di-da-di. Bottom line is our portion's in great condition and working well, and we don't have any further recommendations for it right now. San Diego side, if you want to take some time and talk to your neighbors, say maybe when you get some time and extra money, go out there and do a little bit of a, low hanging fruit, maybe to, improve the road a little bit for those that do have to use it. So.
I do have a question. Is there, and I just don't remember because I don't go down there that often. Or I do go down, but not to go further down on San Diego Creek. Is there a sign before Buenos Campos that says road closed ahead?
Yeah, we have 3 sets of something. Well, there's 4 signs altogether. There's one sign on Rancho Cal that says
Yes.
San Diego Creek's closed 5.9 miles. There's another one when you get onto San Diego Creek, that's out there, that says it's like 5.6 miles.
Right.
Another one when you get to Carancho, that says 1.9 miles, kind of saying, these are the streets you can turn in around that or turn and get off of and head on over to Duluth as an example. And then we have one just south of Buena Vista, that says San Diego Creek, road closed at like 600 feet or something like that.
But south of Buenos Campos.
Buenos Campos, saying.
Okay, shouldn't that be north of Buenos Campos so that they could turn off once you get beyond Buenos Campos?
So you can kind of see the sign from the stop sign there.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but,
Okay.
so, for our next steps, we have the next 2 streets we'll be bringing to you at your next couple of meetings. There'll be Camino Estribo and Los Gatos. We've already started doing the work on those and coming up with items to discuss with the engineering committee and options and pros and cons of the options and things like that. So we'll be presenting that to them at their upcoming meeting and then to you guys after that. So, and with that, I'll answer any questions if you have.
Questions? Thank you very much.
And just one other thing, I'm sorry. You're also going to do other roads, right? You're supposed to look at other roads, isn't that right? Is this just the first report?
Yes.
Okay,
So Estribo and Los Gatos next month.
okay, great.
And then we'll, the final is the issue of where it connects to.
I also want to look at, I always forget the name of this road, think of Barracuda, but it isn't Barracuda, it's.
Barracuda.
Yeah, right. Might want to look at that. Just drive up by it and you'll see what you might want.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Steve. Agenda K, road maintenance and field crew report. Mr.
Our maintenance crew's out in the field again. We've got, let's see, which road is it? A tree fell,
Oh, goodness.
and that is on Via Los Ventos over around Shore area. And I think that the road is blocked, and so it's larger than some of our saws can handle, so bringing in a tree crew.
Okay,
So I just said, when you finish, if you get there in time, make it to the meeting, otherwise I'll give the report. And I guess I could probably, I've looked at most of this, but so I'll do it for you.
okay, very good.
So this is the month, and this is kind of our maintenance program actually starting to take shape. The beginning of September, we now know where all our drains are. We've got them all plotted by zone. the data is loaded into our maintenance cloud, which starts out in the field with those tablets, the same as you have on your desk. And so the program is starting Labor Day. We inspect all the drains and they're all photographed, so we know exactly before and after. And here's an example of a before and after. And most of this work, there are some drains that are going to need some budget work. So I think it's probably in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 out of 750. And so they've done the best they can do with our own equipment. And this kind of equipment is mostly a strong young person and a shovel.
Mhm.
So they've just been going around and they're all complete now. So we're ready for the winter season. So let's see the next one. I can't remember what's coming next. Oh, they replaced, let's see, yeah. These advisory signs.
It was changing color of the post, wasn't it, to make them more visible?
Yes, yes. And I can't remember this location.
These were a really creative solution that our staff came up with. Those signs that they're on Carancho here between El Calamar and Cameron. And they highlight that deep ditch that you can't pull off into or you get stuck. But people go by and clip them and these are metal signs that are getting broken off. They're made to break off and stuff like that. So what they've done is they're using the little 6-inch sleeve that's in the ground. Now, instead of putting the metal sign back up, they're putting the flexible delineator over it. They've got it to fit just right. And very good idea that TJ came up with, because now if it gets hit, that flexible delineator could just, in essence, pop down and pop right back up. Or if it pops off, they can just put it back on. They don't have to go buy and build a damaged metal sign, that. So you've got a piece of plastic out there now that's giving, it's much more reflectivity than the old metal sign was. So really creative that they did that.
We've been replacing RPMs that have been turned into us for the day of notice. Been doing a lot of tree trimming, it's kind of that time of year. And you can see on the left, that's a pre and a post project. Okay. Well, they've been doing, I know, a lot of trash removal. And this was a big water barrel that we got out of off the side of the road. Next one. Oh, that's it. So, yeah, we're right on target. I'm really pleased that they got those drains done. And I see it for a couple of weeks, every day, you come in and show pictures, befores and afters that we talk about, whether that was enough, but these drains are all 45 years old, so that they don't look, like pretty, like they were just installed 6 months ago. So there's a lot of judgment that has to be used, in terms of how much, mostly concentrating on the outbound side, because that's where the debris from last year, it's plugged up. And so dig that out so the water's got somewhere to go. And it's all documented.
That's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Tell the gentleman, great job. Thank you very much. Okay, moving into agenda L, excuse me, the recycle program. That is you, Mr. Evans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we've been making progress on carrying out the mandates by the state government under what they call SB 1383, which is organic waste recycling. We've just recently, it came up last 2 meetings, I think. This program involves a lot of administration. It's a state program, So there's not a lot of administration here, but we reassigned Jessica Richards right over here as a new position for her, and one of her major duties is to oversee the administration of this program. And that, what that means is we're the local agency implementing the program. But we're reporting to a state agency, Cal Recycle, what they call themselves. And they require an awful lot of coordination and reporting. So in the last month, Jessica's been developing relationships with her colleagues in Sacramento. And she's just completed the mandated annual report. And of course, our annual report, it's, I saw it, it was on my desk. It was probably a 1/4 inch thick. And it's entirely zeros because we haven't started yet. But they want it that way, so we're filling it all out and getting it to them. And is that, did you hit the send button?
I did.
Okay, so we were 19 days behind the deadline, but they'll be happy now. So anyway, she's doing a good job, getting bonded up with her colleagues up there. And we'll just see it, take it one step at a time and see where this project goes. So
Okay.
anyway, there are ordinances that we as a local agency have to adopt. And that's supposed to be done by the end of the year. So I met with Ward and Joanne, she has another meeting tonight, so she couldn't be here, but she's gonna modify the ordinances to put clauses in that these ordinances don't go into effect until we have the necessary equipment and everything in place to run this program. And that if that never happens, these ordinances never go into effect. But we're gonna assume that it's gonna happen. But anyway, the plan is introduce them in November, adopt them in December. They do not take a public hearing because there's really not much choice. It's a mandatory thing. And so the thought is before we go to the customers, the homeowners, we'll just maybe send something out that this is possible. I'm not sure yet. It's a little new. And just sit tight for now until we know exactly what we're going to do. And then do an education campaign, whether it be one big, huge meeting. But one thing is in terms of reaching the people who need to know is we can use the building. So we could, keep people informed that way too, which is something, we're not used to here because we don't have that. But anyway, we can talk about that as time goes on. But in between now and next November meeting, which is why I'm telling you about it now. If you want to talk about it, we've got 4 weeks now, and so just let me know. And then finally, we are still looking into possible legislation or legal action because we do have the population cutoff is, well, anybody under 7,500 doesn't have to participate. It's a rural waiver, or under so much tonnage, so the population, we're at about 2,300 people, and anybody under 75, we're way below. And then we're also way below on the tonnage from 2014. So those topics are still being, considered and explored because it's quite a difference. So that's where we are on the recycling.
Questions, directors?
No.
Thank you very much, Jim. Okay, agenda M, committee reports, engineering committee report.
Yes, on October 11th, Director Rawson and myself would make up the committee. Met with Jim and staff, reviewed what is on our tonight's agenda items, B through K. And although there are occasionally comments, for the most part, you see tonight what we reviewed in the committee, so we won't go back over that.
Sure. Thank you very much. Finance.
Thank you very much. We met yesterday. And there's just a couple of things. One, you see that I'm kind of going backwards here because there is something we need to discuss. And I just want to get rid of some of the easy stuff. The LAIF is now at 0.99%. So we're creeping over the 1% mark. Maybe at some point in the future, we may be there. That's getting better. Just said that. We also talked about a couple of other things, and one of them was that we've done about $3.4 million of work since the storm, and received about 2.2 million FEMA money. If I'm incorrect, you will correct me, okay? And so there's a difference of about $1.2 million there, and there's still more money, $500,000 yet to come to us. But think of this in these terms. There were two major projects in Deer Creek and Via Vaquero, and I don't remember the number, 50 or 60 other projects that was included in all of that. So even if we spend the 1.2 million on that, that is a lot of work that was done at a minimum of expense to the CSD. I think that's really very good news. And there's probably more to come back. And now you can add these two payments for the environmental reports, and maybe get a little bit more back too. And I apologize for this. Teresa presented this to us yesterday, and we probably should have made copies for everybody. I should have asked for that, and I didn't, and I do apologize. So since I'm the only one who can read the note, you just have to trust me, okay? Okay, but the bottom line here is that we started the year with about 2.1 million in our available funds for road rehabilitation. And we're down to about this is 1.1 million right now. And so you see that there's been, but a lot has been done with the FEMA money, et cetera. I think the point there is that it's very important for us to get as much of the FEMA money back as possible. That's number one. Number two, the other part of this is that since our income is fixed in terms of our annual allotment, the gas tax becomes extremely important for us. And I know Jim will make a little report on that later. But I think that becomes extremely important. The other thing we discussed is that we have an unfunded liability of somewhere in the range of $20–25 million on roads. And so you can see that with the limited budget that we have, that addressing some of those issues is going to require more funds. And it only emphasizes the need for the gas tax. And I think that what's been done thus far has been incredible in terms of getting us to the point where that is very, very close to being a reality. And again, I want to thank Jim for his hard work in that, and everyone that's been involved in that. But it is a very important project going forward for us, and very, very critical. I'd like to also point out that we did talk about the slurry seal this year and the expense in that. But the point there being that extends the, the life of those roads and how important that is to us, particularly since we have such a large deficit. So that was the report. Do you have anything else you would like
Yeah,
to add?
I think that's important though, that people realize that we are underfunded for maintaining our roads and increasing the longevity of them by the Slurry seal. That'll be another 7 years. So that's really an important project.
We did talk about options in terms of funding. And we'll probably look at some of those in the committee as time goes by. And we'll discuss any of them now, but it's too premature. But I do think there are some options for us to find for additional funding. And I think we'll probably explore some of that as the year goes on. That's the report. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. All righty, and the last is the Legislative Committee report, the SB 415, what Robert was referring to in terms of the gas, the fuel tax initiative that we've been working on for quite some time. And right now, our legal opinion is in its final stages, I believe, dotting the i's and crossing the t's, coupled with the development of a cover letter to coincide with that opinion. And we are currently looking at meeting with Supervisor Kevin Jeffries and his respective associates, I believe, hopefully for the month of December. So I know Jim is working on that. So that is the status. So it is, we really have made a lot of progress, especially Jim, Robert, and Marianne Byers. They've done a great deal of work there along with Ward Simmons staff and so forth. Jim, do you want to add anything to that?
Nope, that's where we're at. So,
Okay.
we originally planned a meeting for the end of the month, but we can't get the court calendar. So, I'm kind of talking to Ward right now, because I knew there was something I needed to tell him.
Okay,
this
yeah.
evening, But we'll get that scheduled and
Okay, good. Yeah, holding out those dates. So, yeah, definitely. So, right on the nail there in terms of Robert's comments. So, very critical to the district and to the residents here. And so that is the report there on the SB 415. And so we'll move on back to Mr. Ammons, the general manager's report.
it just came up about getting money from FEMA. I think I mentioned in a prior meeting that there's $400,000 on the Sandia Creek project that they've got on hold. And they actually have agreed to pay this. It's showing in our portal and all, but the environmental folks in DC need us to jump through some more hoops, okay? So we brought back in the environmental firm Ultra Systems who did our environmental assessment, and they're actually preparing the response to FEMA. And in the phone meetings I've had with them, I'm glad we went this way because they speak the same language. And so when we'll have to do a phone meeting with these folks, they're in DC. And I told them, I don't think I'm going to say a word. You handle it. Because, and just in general conversation, FEMA City is all backed up because 2 years of COVID and there wasn't anything that came out of there. So we requested that this be signed off 19 months before they even responded. That's how far behind they are. But I said to the environmental consultant, all this stuff I hear about California being the leader in environmental quality and all that. And she said, yeah, FEMA are applying nationwide the NEQA, National Environmental Protection Act. Okay. Those permits that we had to get from the water agencies and from the state water agencies are under CEQA, California Water or Environmental Protection Act, Quality Act. Okay. And she said the two are not even in the same ballpark. So what they're gonna be talking to us about, these 16 questions they have about whether we met their standards. Obviously, we're in the state of California. The standard is way beyond. So we were talking, it's like, if they're so stacked up, why don't they take all the California applications? And she said New York is way up there and all the West Coast is way up there. If their standards exceed the NE, whatever, national standards, why don't they just push them on through? You know, like, why are we doing all of the amount of time that we've spent and that they're gonna spend? But that's what it's like with these agencies. And, you know, maybe go work on the Alabama ones or something where they have, you know, strict environmental laws. But here we are. So they're putting together this presentation and they're gonna talk environmentalists to environmentalists on our behalf. And, that 400 and some odd thousand. So, we continue working on that. We'll continue, hopefully get a successful conclusion. So anyway, I'll keep you informed. Also, I believe I mentioned this at the HOA meeting or DOA meeting I went to, but we've gotten all of our letters into San Diego County regarding the winery application that's right on the boundary between us and this San Diego County, that we want to be an active participant in the processing of that application, particularly as it relates to the roads, because their only access is our roads. So those have been filed with the right places, and we've gotten acknowledgement that when that process starts, and it has not started yet, they've sent notices and told everybody about it, but it's probably a few months down the road. But I did hear, I don't think I had to urge the POA, Robert and Chuck's POA, in fact.
HOA.
Oh, you're an HOA, okay. That they should participate because their properties are right adjacent to it. Our participation comes from the transportation part of that. So anyway, I think everybody is on board, and that the last couple of meetings that came up, and we weren't too sure how to proceed. So it's under control. And then finally, I just want to announce that this meeting tonight is my 60th board meeting. So I just wanted to say, because it was all done at the end of the meeting, that this board, now for the public, where's the camera? You know, we had to negotiate, you know, a new contract. And these guys are the toughest negotiators I've ever been up against. Blood splatter all over the wall. But they drowned me down, and we came to a agreement that's good for the districts. And it is good for me because I'm very happy, and I'm looking forward to the next 60 board meetings. And so I appreciate the action you took and the time we're spent working with these tough negotiators. And I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a great staff. It's a great operation. Everything is going really good in my opinion. So I'm really pleased, you know, the action you took. Thank you very much. And I look forward to number 61 in November.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we're glad that you signed off.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate
I
that.
have one other thing if I might. I should have mentioned this earlier, and again, Jim mentioned that he and Deputy Perez came to a homeowners association meeting last Saturday. And we think this is, from the homeowners perspective, we think this is very important. And I know they think it is as well. It's a good way to get out there and to talk to some of the people that we serve. And we really appreciate your coming. You take time to do that on the day that you don't normally have to work, and risk suffering slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Yeah.
But it was a very nice meeting, and I think went very well. Again, we thank both of you for being.
Very good. Thank you again. All right. righty, let's see, legal counsel matters, Mr. Simmons.
I only have two things to report on tonight. We were trying to set up a negotiation or a mediation on the state, what we call the State Farm case, which is the case where we're trying to get reimbursed for the work the district did on cleaning up a road spill here a couple summers ago. The other side was non-responsive, and we've now passed the point where mediation was required to be done. So we're moving forward with the trial, and it's set for December 16th. So hopefully we'll be able to settle before then, but if not, we're gonna have a trial before the end of the year. And probably going to take a couple of days. And we've got a good litigator that's assigned to the case, and he's ready to try it. So
Would that include if we were successful court costs?
unfortunately, that doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I remember that you telling us.
But we're hoping that it'll still settle on the eve of trial, so we won't have that. But anyway, then on AB 361, which is the resolution we passed at the beginning of each one of these meetings, you probably heard this week, the governor has lifted or will be lifting the state of emergency for COVID at the end of February. We're looking into that right now. Our current resolution is premised on the idea that it's set for an emergency declaration by the governor. It looks like there might be some wiggle room in the legislation to continue those if you so choose to. We're looking into that further. So I'm going to be reporting back at a later meeting, but if you choose to continue to want to have a board member appear by Zoom, you know, which is very convenient, I think that we're going to be able to figure out a way to continue to do that. So I'll report back again when we know more about it.
Okay, very good.
We'll probably have to design a new resolution to adopt maybe in March, but it's still quite a number of months away. So we'll have to see what things look like in March. I hope we don't have a different variety.
Oh, let's say that, not gonna vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you very much for that input. Okay, the last item on the agenda is P, which we are going to be going into a closed session in terms of conference with legal counsel. So at this time, what I'd like to do is to turn my page first of all, is to any of our guests, if I can ask you to please leave during this closed session. And if you want to wait in the lobby, that's fine. If you'd like to come back in after, you may do so. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This completes our WCSD board meeting of directors. I want to thank everybody, and this meeting is now adjourned. That's too bad. I wonder what happened there. Just kind of faded out there.